Hey guys, so I'm brand new on this YouTube stuff and I've posted a few videos, just a couple. And I thought, I've been doing this and now that I was lucky enough to be in Alex Steele's new video, I've got a bunch of you guys coming on and subscribing. Like I say, I'm brand new to the YouTube. I've been on Instagram a while, Facebook just a little bit, but I'm pretty new to this stuff. And thanks to Alex Steele, Will Stelter, Niels with Black Dragon Forge, those guys. I'm getting quite a few hits on my YouTube and my Instagram, and I thought, I kind of need to introduce myself. I'm kind of new to this new YouTube world, and I thought, you guys don't know who I am, what I've done, or any of my background, so I'm not the greatest about bragging about myself, but I thought I would at least share with you guys a little bit about how I got started. I thought I'd give you a shop tour, kind of show you what I do. And I hope to do a lot more videos. I want to start posting a lot more stuff, some how-to things, what I'm working on, whatever you guys are interested in. I kind of want to hear what you're interested in. If you guys are interested in some of the stuff that my family does, we're going on a big trip to northern Canada. We're going fishing. My kids have 4-H animals. We have pigs, we have cows, we have brand new calves that are born here. I live in Montana. It's just the greatest. We hunt, we fish, chase my kids' sports, so it's just a busy time. But I thought I would introduce myself. Here's what I make. This is a knife that I'm working on currently right now. This is a Quillian dagger. It's going to be a dog bone dagger. You can see the Damascus pattern in it, I hope. Let me pull up my phone here and see while I'm doing this if I can get the pattern. Let's get up in here kind of close. So you can kind of see the pattern in there. I don't have the quality of footage and camera ability that Alec and Will do, but as you can see, this knife doesn't have a handle yet. Sitting over here on my bench, I've got a handle started. This is a dog bone dagger. It's got some facets in the handle right now. It's got scratches. I've just got pinholes in it. And I'll show you more what's going on my bench here in a minute. I got a bunch of gold laying over here. Different projects going. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of an introduction about how I got into making knives. Rick Dunkerley started teaching me when I was 11 years old. I was a Little League baseball coach, and like any kid, I was interested in making knives, right? I was interested in anything that had to do with knives. So he invited me up to his shop. My parents bought me one of his knives for Christmas, and I started making them. And Rick was just super kind to allow me to come in, invite me up, and I think it kind of went from inviting me up to me pestering him to keep coming up, but he allowed it, which was super cool. So go follow Rick Dunkerley. Rick Dunkerley Knives on Instagram. He's got Dunkerley Handmade Knives, I think is his website. He does amazing work. But anyway, so Rick started teaching me, and I started getting more and more serious, more and more into it. So I had a lawn mowing business, and I earned money through that. I grew up in an excavation business. My parents own backhoes and excavators and trucks and do dirt work, and so I worked in their business, and I would save money up, and I'd buy equipment. Or my parents would buy equipment and then for me, and then I would have a debt, a tally, I'd work it off. By the time I was 12 or 13, I was starting to get quite a bit of equipment in my shop. 14 years old, I was rolling, making knives in my shop myself. At 15, I passed my journeyman, my ABS, American Bladesmith Society journeyman test. I was the youngest to ever pass that at 15 years old. It was quite an accomplishment at the time. Over the next few years, I worked on my skills, and I just kept asking for tips. I wanted people to tear my knives apart. I wanted to know what was wrong with them, what I needed to do better. And at times, actually, it was quite frustrating. I remember thinking I really did well on something, and I'd hand it to somebody, Tim Hancock, and he'd look at me, and I'd ask him, "What do you think?" And he says, "Well, do you want the truth, or what do you want to know what I really think?" And I'm like, "No, I want to know what you actually think." And he'd say, "I think it looks like shit." And so He'd explain why. He'd tell me why. Design issues, maybe fit and finish. Things didn't go well, choice of materials, whatever it was. And I took those comments to heart. I never really got offended. At times it was frustrating because I just never felt like I was going to get there. But I did. I got there. And at 19 years old, I tested and passed and became the youngest American Bladesmith Society mastersmith. I was just a year out of high school. And it was quite a time. And I wouldn't have gotten there without the help of not only Rick Dunkerley, but there were a lot of other Montana makers that were instrumental. Shane Taylor, Wade Coulter, some of those guys. And then there were a lot of guys around Washington, Ed Shemp, out in Oregon, Wayne Goddard. And then down south, you know, Larry Fagan and Tim Hancock and Harvey Dean were probably the three most influential of those guys. I really looked up to Tim Hancock, fantastic guy, just one of the best people I've ever met. And really the same with Harvey Dean, and Larry Fagan. Those guys are just incredible. And every chance I got, I roomed with those guys at shows. When I went full time making knives, when I think I was 21 years old, I went full time. And man, every show I went to, I tried to stay with those guys and just pick their brains till 2 a.m, talk their legs off. So any of you new makers out there, go ask, but be prepared. Be prepared for somebody. They're doing you a favor if they're picking your stuff apart. So that's what I did. And, you know, it's interesting because passing my mastersmith test wasn't the end of a journey. It was kind of the beginning. A lot of the things that I do, I actually do a lot different now than I did back then. The way I grind, a lot of the things I do, I changed, I evolved. There's a lot of new techniques. The knife world was exploding during that time, and it still is. So anyway, that's kind of where I went. I was full-time for 10 years. I'm not full-time now, but I'm probably pretty close to going back to it. I had a lot of stuff happen in my personal life, kind of some craziness, but I have 4 kids in that time period. I just needed a job with benefits and some stability. But man, everything's great now. I'll give you a tour. I'll even show you kind of outside where I live, what it looks like. And I'm kind of ramping full on right back into this knife thing, and might be full-time again at it sooner than later. I got some super exciting stuff happening. A new knife company that I'm going to be launching pretty soon. Please subscribe to my YouTube and definitely go to my Instagram. Follow me there at Josh Smith Knives, or my Facebook at Josh Smith Knives. There's going to be some big announcements coming up I'm super excited about. So I want you guys to be the first to hear. So let's get on with a little bit of a shop tour. So let's look here at my bench first of all. This is kind of what's going on here at my bench. I've got this dagger that I'm working on, and here's some gold. Got some gold bands that are going to be going on this handle. Some gold pin stock. I just got all this gold in here just the other day. I've kind of been delayed a bit on the process of this knife until this gold got here. You know, and it's interesting. I got a really fancy dagger that I'm working on. And then right up here, I've got a hunting knife. So I kind of do it all. Here's a hunting knife sitting over here, Kydex sheath. So I kind of do everything. A couple patterns sitting over on my bench. I'll give you a little overview of what my workspace looks like. This is the bench that I sit at and do most of my work. Got a drill press sitting right over here. Kind of look out a window. There's my house right out there, past my pickup. That's actually my garage in my house. But then this is the kind of turning around, looking at the bench over here. I've got a bit of a mess, but hey, I make knives in here. So this is an active shop. Do a lot of hand sanding sitting right here and looking right out in the yard. It's really not a bad view. That's you might be able to see the front of my house over there. and it's just a gorgeous view out into my horse pasture. So that's kind of the knife shop space. There's a poster hanging up of a knife that I made for the American Bladesmith Society back in 2009. They raffled that knife off. That's a Searles Bowie. Super cool snowflake Damascus pattern, twist bars on the edges. And then looking this way, this is my benchtop milling machine, jet milling machine. It's not a big boy like I'd like to have, but it definitely does the trick. Got my gun safe over here. Keep a lot of my fossil ivories and that gold and that kind of stuff in there. Now we're walking into my grinding room. This is dirty and a mess. This is my dirty room. I can turn my dust collector on and it sucks the air into this room and it keeps all that dirt out of that other room. But here's my disc grinder right here. Got some of my wheels hanging up here for these grinders up above my head. Got a couple belt grinders here. These are sweet, sweet belt grinders from Travis Wirtz Machine. Got another window here. This opens up out into the yard. Kind of looking out there. There's the house. There's the old Big Sky, Montana. Got some more belts kind of hanging around. And then here's my buffing area. Again, a little bit of a mess, but that's all right. Just some extra junk. Anyway, that's the room. I mean, I'm literally just turning around in a circle here. Pretty small, but it works fantastic. Got some really nice equipment. Pretty lucky that way. So, let's go out here. When I walk around the corner, this is actually kind of more of my garage, somewhat shop area. Here's my wood stove. This heats the shop in the winter. Works fantastic. And we're looking outside here. Beautiful evening here. June 14th. A couple cars parked in the driveway, and there's my house. Kind of looking out around the landscape. That's my barn down there. We got our 4-H animals and horses and stuff down there. Steers. Nice big tree. And then this is, so that's where we came out of over there. This is my forging shop. Let's take a walk in here. All right, this is where the forging happens. Love, love, love this part of the shop. Got a couple beautiful machines here. This is a hydraulic press. Custom built out in Washington by Matt Whitmus. Does amazing work. And this is a rolling mill. Both rolls drive. I can twist bars in this vise off the end. Just fantastic. Love that machine. Here's my forge. Another forge. No burner in it right now. Another forge. That's for long stuff. When I was on Forged in Fire a couple times, I had to add, I made this to where I can actually add an end on it and double the length. So it came out like clear out into here. It's pretty cool. This is my heat treating high temperature salt pot. Let's look down in there. That's where the salt is. Kind of a messy area over in here again. This is where I do some of my bluing, coffee etch. And we got an oil quench tank. A little bit of oil in there. Another oil quench tank. So, this here is my grandfather's anvil. He was a farrier in World War II. I'm really proud to have this. All those dings and marks and whatnot came from my grandfather, who shoed horses in the military in Italy in World War II. So it's pretty cool to have his anvil, carry on the tradition. It's kind of my layout bench right here. do some forging or stack up my billets. And here's this bad boy. This is my surface grinder. This was off of a US battleship built in the 30s. Super cool machine, not CNC controlled. Right now it's just a mess. But you can pick up these old machines because they're not computer controlled. Industry's kind of kicking them out. I was actually grinding some micarta and I was super gluing it down to my magnet, and that's what the red dust is all over the top, all the steel dust. But this grinder runs a belt. It's got an adapter on here. This grinder does not really hog away like crazy, but it's very, very accurate, much quicker than a stone. Just love this machine. Look at all the old wheels on that thing. Abrasive 3B. Pretty cool. And we'll walk out here. I'll open, try and open the door. So let's get some lights on. It's kind of dark, maybe a little bit in here, but this is just a lean-to. Kind of looking, there's my mower in the back end of my camper here. Kind of looking out. There's a wood pile right there. That's what I'm gonna be burning in my shop this winter. Horse trailer. And this is a steel bench that I just built a few weeks ago because I just needed more space, and it is fantastic to have. You can cut all these bars of steel, lay it out, just a cheap grinder to just grind Damascus billets off. It's a dirt floor, which I have in my forging shop as well. And I love, got a little woodworking project going, kind of a mess here. But I love, and I should say, oh, here's my steel rack. Got some steel up in there. That's all just future Damascus right there. But I love the dirt floor in here because as you forge away, you get all this scale that falls off your billets. And you find yourself constantly sweeping with a concrete floor. And this is also a lot easier on my knees. I can weld and I can stand out here all day. I've got no issues. Let's take a little walk out of the forging shop. I want to show you what Montana looks like, where I live. When I bought this place, it was an absolute disaster. There were no roads into it, garbage everywhere. There was no pond. It was all weeds. It wasn't green. There was no lawn. It had an old trailer sitting here. And that house actually burned down. That's a whole nother story, but look at the view. I built that pond with some help from my dad with his equipment. There's fish in there. Laid all these pavers, put in a fire pit. Fire pit is awesome. Got a beautiful deck. Some big windows. We actually just moved a bed out the other day. Got a new bed for the kid. One of the 4 kids. Look at that huge, huge tree. Thing is really cool. So I just wanted to give you an idea of who I am and where I live and what my shop looks like. So when I'm posting videos from here on, you'll kind of be able to tell what I'm talking about and have an idea of where I live. At the garage here, cars and just kind of some stuff in there. Nice big garage. But anyway, enough of that. Well, here's beautiful little side of the house. My wife's does a really nice job with the flowers. Got the garden hose sitting out here. She does an awful nice job. I stuck that rock in there. I bought that rock, put that in with a backhoe. Everything around here has been a hell of a lot of work, but it's fantastic. Love it. So, adjusting the camera just a little bit here. We'll head back into the shop. I just wanted to give you kind of a lowdown. I know this is kind of a long video. If you've watched all the way to here, I really appreciate it. We'll walk in here past the raspberry bushes and the lilac. Look at the lilac. Look at the colors on that sucker. Isn't that beautiful? Right outside the knife shop. I found these moose sheds, by the way. I'm getting sidetracked. I found those in Canada when I was moose hunting. One was stuck in a tree and one was laying just about 50 yards away from it. So let's see if I can set this back up. Let's see here. Anyway, that's the shop. That's where I live. I really appreciate you checking this video out. I'm gonna be posting some more videos, a lot more knife related, but thanks for watching. I appreciate it.